think we are recording. So, good morning, Susan. Or should it be Sue? Sorry.
I don't mind.
Don't mind.
It can be either.
So this is the first of these questions in quarantine we're going to do. We're here with Sue Jones. So can you tell people who you are, Sue, and what you do, and a bit about your business, please?
Yeah, I'm Sue Jones of Thoughts Become Things Care Consultancy, and I help care businesses attract private clients and attract and retain great employees.
So first of all, most importantly, how are you coping with the current, quote, unprecedented situation we're in?
I think I love the change curve graph that you can see, all of the things that happens throughout that change curve. And obviously it's a massive curveball for everybody in the UK, isn't it? Without a doubt. And it's just thinking, okay, you initially feel that despair, and I certainly felt that despair at what on earth is going to happen. And then slowly, I think I've come through the change curve, and it's now seeing that there are actually opportunities along the way, and you've got to adapt. It's the whole evolution process, isn't it? The people who are quickest to adapt will thrive, and that's really what I've had in my mindset.
Logistically, we both, obviously we know each other previously and worked together previously as well, but we both work from home, and that's something you haven't had to adapt to. But what about the kind of self-isolating and social distancing side of things?
Well, all I know, we moved to Wales 3 years ago, over 3 years ago now, and I thank God every day that I am being self-isolating in Wales, because it's just unbelievable. Going for local walks, it doesn't feel like a chore at all, to be honest with you.
You're in Penryn Bay, aren't you, by the seaside? So that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, Penryn Bay, but we've got local walks all around Nantigama. We could do lots of walks locally here, so it's not been a problem. Obviously, like everybody else out there, I've got family that I can't go and see. I've got family that I would love to go and support, and I can't. So those are the biggest challenges. But I think everybody's in the same boat in that respect.
They're in the north of England way, are they?
They are, Manchester.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? What about the business itself then? Have you managed to keep going over the last couple of months? I mean, I personally have seen obviously a drop off with some clients being in lockdown. They're unable to do anything. There's no point publicizing the business at the moment because it is in shutdown. When it starts to emerge from that, we can start talking about it, and things will pick up again. But has it been the same for you?
Well, I'm working in the care sector, they've got a completely different problem in that they are so busy at the moment. So obviously, their biggest concern is how do they actually protect their clients and the people that work for them. And obviously, that's absolutely where their focus should be at the moment. I've had a couple of people, projects that have been put on hold, but I have continued to work. So working on client projects, which has been great. Have managed to adapt pretty much to that, but I think it's going to come back.
You were obviously, the way the care homes were dealt with, not getting political, but the way the care homes were dealt with in comparison to hospitals, we weren't getting those figures. Were you kind of having discussions behind the scenes and concerned about that from the last couple of months?
Well, the majority of people that I deal with are home care providers, and they have a much lesser, they've really managed to not have and limit the infection, obviously, because they're just working in people's homes rather than care homes. But I'm on a couple of groups for care homes, and it has been an absolute nightmare for them, trying to protect people, and there's all sorts of things going on. And I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of it fully, but I just hope that lessons will be learned along the way, in terms of how can you make your business more resilient in the future, and how can you protect your business in the future.
It's probably almost impossible to answer this because nobody knows what's happening tomorrow, never mind next week. But how do you see the business emerging from lockdown over the coming months? How do you see it looking?
Well, I'm hoping that certainly within the care sector, there's going to be a big shift change in their mindset as to building a resilient business. And I think I've seen it happen before in financial services when something has happened and they've had to adapt and change. And this something has definitely happened in the care sector that they would never ever have imagined would happen. and they've had to adapt and change. And you know, I think it's really made people think, and I'm hopeful that will mean they will start to think much more on the strategy side and much more on the planning side as to how they build a resilient business in the future.
Because how old is the business now?
It's 2 years old.
Things. 2 years old. So it's pretty much exactly the same as mine, 2 years old. And the conversations we've had over the last 12 months was about you going in and helping with the business models of the care homes and care organisations. So now more than ever, it may be needed or will be needed when we emerge from this. So maybe in 12 months' time, even 18 months, 2 years, but looking ahead over the next 10 years, you can't have ever seen this coming. None of us could, but no. You can prepare for it.
No, but then I was reading something the other day about businesses, and you know, something happens every 10 years globally, and and you know, it's just a fact that's what happens. You look at all the cycles that have happened, whether it's a recession or anything, you have to be prepared for the unexpected, no matter what. And I think this, more than anything, will have made not just business in the care sector, but nationwide, every sector is really going to make them think, how do we actually build that business continuity, and how do we plan for that resilience?
There are other sectors that have obviously benefited greatly from it. Obviously, like they wouldn't have wanted this tragedy to happen, but they're, you know, look at the PPE, hand sanitizer. One of my clients is 600% up in sales. The way some restaurants and things have dealt with deliveries and takeaways and things like that. There's others who have really benefited from it, and the way people have adapted, and you know, personally and professionally, the way we're doing things more online, like Zoom, these other video conferencing facilities, the new norm that we're supposed to be, you know, getting used to. How do you see that looking in the next year?
Do you know what? I think it's been absolutely lovely not to get in the car. You know, I filled my car up prior to lockdown, and I've used a quarter of a tank of petrol, and I'm a big, you know, environmentalist in terms of how we should be looking after the planet. So I really hope that businesses now have put the infrastructure in place that will actually allow people to work from home and not do as much traveling. Because, you know, in my past life, I was doing 30,000 miles a year in my car up and down the country, and it doesn't do anybody any good, does it? That sort of mileage. So I really hope that people will adapt to that.
Yeah, I've worked from home for the last 2 years now. I moved home recently as well. I remember when I was traveling, I was traveling from Prestatyn to Wrexham every day, and out, you know, 2 hours a day commute, seeing less of my kids. And while you're in an office environment, you know, you probably work for 50% of the 60% of the day because you're making a cup of tea, or you're having a chat with the person at the next desk, or you're speaking to people in different offices. So you're much more productive. But obviously, there's downsides. It could be quite lonely. It can be, obviously, you're isolated, so you try and, you know, get meetings and stuff. But yeah, I think that I can see a lot of people changing.
And I was thinking the other day, you know, this morning, I looked in my wardrobe and I thought, it'd be really nice to get dressed up and go somewhere, you know, whether it was a networking meeting or out to a nice restaurant. Yes, that would be nice. But
hopefully soon. What do you think about the way the obviously Welsh and UK governments are doing things quite differently in many ways at the moment? But what do you think about the general response from the Chancellor, etc., with furloughing and with the government, you know, coronavirus business loans, and obviously the Economic Resilience Fund in Wales? Have you used any of those or benefited from them, or?
Well, no. I mean, you might be in the same situation, Martin. I mean, being 2 years old in a business, there's absolutely no assistance for us, for me.
Yeah, I fall through the gaps as well. I'm one of those. I'm still working, so still plugging away. But yeah, I'm one of those businesses that falls through all the gaps, and as a company director and not self-employed, etc., don't have premises, I don't have staff, and there's other things. So,
but then you think to yourself, well, okay, I mean, at some point in the future, we are going to have to pay for this, you know, through taxes, through some way. And I just think, well, okay, if I'm not getting anything, then that's absolutely fine. I'm also in a very fortunate position, you know, I'm just going to have to suck it up at this point. But you know, understanding, especially in Llandudno, you've got all the hotels there, the Serenity, you've got the pubs here, you know, massive tourist place. And it's really important that those are looked after, because we're going to need them in this area, particularly, and any tourist area. We're going to need those to survive if we're going to have the economy back.
Yeah, Well, on a personal level, then I think I touched on at the start about self-isolating. We're both kind of used to working from home, so that's not a major shock to the system. Though obviously you can't go out as much. How have you found it in Penryn Bay, Llandudno area where you are with social distancing and things like that? Are people paying attention? They haven't been where I am.
No, they have generally. I think I haven't seen anything. I think certain places are a lot busier, locally, but then that's okay. I think I haven't seen any crowds gathering or anything like that around here, but it is quite an elderly population around here, so I think most people are being very careful.
Yeah, that's true. It's quite stressful I go to the supermarket about once a week. It's the most stressful thing ever, isn't it? Just
well, I have to say, Aldi has been brilliant. I only go to Aldi now because it's you can't go in front of the other person. You've got to go in single file and you can't walk past them. So that for me is absolutely great.
Yeah, you've got, is it 2 sons or?
Yes.
Yeah. So are they out of school and grown up, aren't they? I've got 2 younger ones, so I'm homeschooling at the same time as self-isolating at the same time as trying to work as well. So you haven't got that joy.
No. Yes. Is that going well?
I'm actually yeah. So for those who know me, they'll know that I share custody of my 2 youngest children. So I'm 50% of the time on my own at the moment, and 50% of the time teacher as well as working with Radar PR. So it's actually quite good when they're with me here. Obviously, I miss them terribly when they're not, but it gives me a bit of a routine and a bit of structure. We start the school day with a bit of PE, etc. The PE with Joe, we do things like that, and then it's got a bit more structure to the day. The day goes a bit quicker. We do, maths and English and things in the morning, and then more fun and crafts, etc. As you get all these tools and so many things have been made available to parents to support and help you, and not to put too much pressure on myself or them. It's been quite enjoyable, actually.
I think there's going to be a lot of kids who are going to miss it once they go back to school.
My kids don't want to go back to school. Yeah.
Hard going back.
But it's different in Wales at the moment, isn't it? I think that England are bringing things forward in Wales, probably slightly later. I'd be happy to carry on until September if needed to for their safety and the safety of others. So we'll see what happens. But what about any new skills or anything you've done differently? And I'm reading a lot more books. I'm doing a little bit more cooking.
I've been learning PowerPoint videos on PowerPoint, which is you can literally spend all day doing that.
Yeah, I probably would. I'm not great at things like that. Yeah.
But no, it's been good, and I have been busy, and I think I've just been concentrating on the business, on the strategy side, and how I can build that. So that's, again, it's been wonderful that I've been able to spend that time looking at the business, looking at the strategy moving forward. So it's been beneficial, I hope.
And you're confident things will pick up and improve, and in your sector in particular, they're going to need you, aren't they?
Yeah. I am confident if it stays the same. What I'm not confident about and what I'm absolutely dreading is a second wave, and that would be absolutely catastrophic, I think. So yes, it's very concerning when you hear about restrictions being lifted, and yet how do they cope if it starts to go up again? What are they going to do about it?
So you welcome the stay home message in Wales, which obviously has become stay alert in England. Yeah. For how much longer would you see that being the case? Obviously, you can't put a date on it, but is it, because we're seeing some countries have went out of lockdown, and then they've seen infection rates rise again this week, haven't they? So
yeah, I think we've got to see the infection rates coming right down before we can start lifting restrictions for my peace of mind. But obviously, we can't make any, we don't have the power to make any decisions on that, but it's, for me, there's still too many people that have the infection and still carrying it.
We'll see how it looks. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
What were you drinking there, by the way? Was it you on the coffee? I'm drinking more of that than ever before as well, yeah. Well, lovely to speak to you, Susan, and hopefully I'll see you for a coffee soon.
All right, thanks, Martin. Take care.